From the Homes for Heroes studio in Minneapolis, Minnesota, you are tuned in to Real Talk with Homes for Heroes. Here are your hosts, Bob, Stanke, and Seth Jeska.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into another episode of Real Talk with Homes for Heroes. As always, I am your host, Seth Jeska, the Emerging Media Manager at Homes for Heroes, and I am so excited and so happy to welcome back to the show Bob Stanke, the Director of Marketing at Homes for Heroes. Bob, I'm so happy to have you back on Real Talk. How you doing, my man?
Oh, good. Yeah, I know it's been a while. I don't even know the last episode I was on. I think it was late in the fall last year, I think. So
it was late in the fall.
Yeah,
we had a lot of things going on, and we actually took a break in December. And I talked a little bit about this in our last episode. We kind of got away from the co-host thing early this year because we had a lot of things going on with the marketing department, and we took Real Talk with Homes for Heroes not just from the podcast format, but we also brought it to a video format. We had a lot of challenges with recording and how we were going to execute that. And so, reluctantly, I took it head on and just kind of went solo. But I've been talking you up, man, because I talked a lot about it on my last episode about how excited I am to have you back on Real Talk. So let me ask you this before we start anything. How are you doing?
Good. I am coming at you live. Well, me and you recording live here in my bedroom because like I think 90% of the country, a lot of us are holing up at home and trying to practice social distancing. So things are good. No complaints. Everybody's healthy. And I'm pretty productive working remote. So it's not really an issue. I can stay focused and concentrate. And it's really quiet in this room, which is nice. And so, and the video technology that I know Homes for Heroes has been using has been great. It's been a great way to connect with people. Visually online. So yeah, everything's been great. So here I am. This is like week, I don't know, 3 or 4 of being here. So yeah, I've got a nice little routine going.
Well, I'm glad to hear everybody is happy, healthy, and everybody's staying positive. I know that we are all staying productive, and some might say we're being even more productive in our new work environment, but I'm extremely happy to hear that everybody's healthy and positive. I'm going to give the audience a heads up out there. So Bob, from his bedroom in Roseville, Minnesota, is running a national marketing department. He is also running a miniature school.
Yes.
Yes. This is the world that we're living in now. This is the virtual world that we're living in. This is not unique to Bob. This is probably 100% of the audience that is tuning in. So that being said, we're just going to give you a heads up. There might be some homework questions that pop in the middle of the podcast.
You never know if a dog's going to run in here, or a screaming child, or a crying wife who's dealing with, teaching the kids right now. You just never know what's going to happen. It's been kind of interesting. It's been fun to watch on YouTube. There's been just a ton of videos of people who are recording, webinars or conference calls or whatever. And then like crazy things happen in the background. Someone walks behind in their underwear or something. That's been kind of fun to watch. I saw this great picture the other day of this. He's like a news correspondent, and the first photo was how he looked on TV, right? So he had a tie on and a shirt. He had some artwork in the background. It looked really nice. And then he posted a second picture, which was the look from inside the room. And it was funny because he was wearing a dress shirt with a tie, but he had jean shorts on, and he had it was a mess in the background, and there was like kids' toys, and and that's kind of how it is in here right now. I mean, I'm got a dresser back here with a lamp or a little nightstand, but I'm on a card table. Believe it or not, I'm on a card table. So I'm operating this national marketing program from a card table. There we go. It's all good. I do have pants on. I have jeans on. So,
well, thank you for giving us all that.
Wanted to make sure.
And giving us that security. We appreciate that. But the fact that you're running a national marketing department from a card table it's a sign of the times. I mean, you talk about this 3-4 months ago, people would be like, what is this Homes for Heroes program, and why is this guy operating a business from his bedroom with a card table? But now people are like, hey, I respect that guy. This guy is running a national marketing program, and he's doing it from a card table. And it forces us to innovate, be creative, and adapt and adjust, because this is not, I mean, let's not talk about like we know what's going on, because there's so much unknown that surrounds this pandemic and what we're up against. But the chances of it, going for another month, 2 months are extremely likely. So it's not something that we can just say, hey, let's hold up for a week or two and then go back to normal. So we're forcing ourselves, or we're being forced into a situation where we have to adapt and adjust and, do stuff like record virtually like this.
And I love how everybody's rallying around it. Like there's nobody's judging anybody. Nobody, you know what I mean? Like everybody's just doing what they can right now.
Nobody's got time for judgment.
No, and it's like, and it goes with like homeschooling kids right now. Like nobody's going to do it perfect. Nobody's, it's extremely hard to do. It's hard to be at a card table with a dining room chair, right? Like nothing's ideal, but we're all just making it work because this is what we have to do. So
absolutely.
I want to give a quick shout out though. Our hero groups, we talk about teachers are one of our hero groups, and hats off to them for everything they do, because the last couple weeks have been really hard as a parent trying to navigate around teaching and working a full-time job. So I just want to give a shout out to teachers. I know I definitely do not want to miss the first responders and all the healthcare workers out there, but teachers have also been doing a ton of stuff. I mean, the materials they put together to do remote learning in such a short period of time was pretty incredible. I've been seeing these teachers that our kids have who have been recording videos every day, like hour-long lesson videos, and they've been having class, get-togethers on, Google Hangouts, and it's been pretty fascinating to watch.
Absolutely. I haven't been able to experience it firsthand, but I have seen the activity on social media, and I have seen what the teachers are doing for our students to make sure that they don't miss a step. And I've even had conversations with, individuals such as yourself. And I know that your wife is a teacher, and you're experiencing it not only with your kids who have teachers who are stepping up, but also your wife. So, yes, much respect, and thank you to all those teachers that are stepping up.
Can I give one more call out? Just one more real quick one.
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought about this morning, and it hadn't occurred to me, but public transportation employees, bus drivers, like there are still buses running, and I haven't heard anybody talk about this. So, and if anybody's acknowledged this, hats off, because I didn't think about it until this morning. But I went out to get a cup of coffee real quick, and I saw buses still going. I was like, public transportation did not stop. It can't, because people need to get, there's people without transportation, or they have to go to work. And those bus drivers are around people in a vehicle, right? In a car. So it really hats off to them as well for, toughing this out and being brave and putting themselves in, in harm's way with this virus to get people where they need to go. So hats off to public transportation employees as well.
Absolutely. I could not agree with you more. And it's something that I probably have mentioned a few times on this show, and I probably talked to you about it, offline as well as others, but I don't say it enough, or I don't probably think about it enough. And this is a good reminder. I am truly blessed for the situation that I'm in, and I can't, count my blessings enough in the fact that I'm able to, quarantine in my apartment, protect myself, be safe, and do my part to make sure that, whether, I'm asymptomatic for whatever reason, who knows? I mean, we don't know anything at this point, or whether it's just being able to contract it and then, spread it to other people. This is my part that I'm doing to quarantine, but I couldn't do that. I could not do that if it wasn't for the people out there that were putting themselves on the front lines and going that. So yeah, absolutely. Much respect to everybody that is playing their part in order to make sure that we're able to continue on as a society and do all that.
I remember when I was little, we were driving, I don't know, go see my grandparents or something, and it was late on a Friday night, and there was a factory, and its lights were still on, and I was pretty young. But I remember commenting, oh, there's still people working in there. And I remember my dad saying, America doesn't shut down at 5 o'clock on a Friday, and America doesn't shut down during a pandemic. Like there's still things we need in this country, and we need people to drive those things. So hats off to everybody who has to work and do what they need to do. So
absolutely. Well, we got a big show today because we are going to talk about how we can help our audience, people within the real estate industry, keep their business going through this challenging time. We know that the real estate industry has been disrupted tremendously, and in some areas it's been put on hold. And I think a lot of people who are tuning in to this are probably a little bit, they want to be a little bit busier, and they want to be more productive. And that's what we're aiming to do in at least through the month of April, is how we can help the real estate industry, our audience who is tuning into this, these episodes of Real Talk with Homes for Heroes, not only survive in these challenging times, but thrive. And what we decided to kick it off with today is digital marketing, how you can use digital marketing to keep your business thriving through these times. Because right now it is extremely relevant. If you are not a big fan of digital marketing, or if you're not a big fan of email or social media, or if you're more face-to-face person, you like to build relationships with face-to-face, I totally get that, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's a place for that, and I think it's extremely powerful. But if you are reluctant to be more of a digital marketer, right now is really the time where you need to learn how to adapt and adjust to these times, because digital marketing is what's going to allow you to really keep your business productive during these times, but also build the relationships and build your business for when things kind of get back on track with, the economy and with the real estate sales. This is a time that you can really utilize digital marketing to build that. So let me ask you this. I know that you've been a digital marketer for over 20 years, and it's a little bit, it's not exactly apples to apples, but you experienced the recession in 2008 when we had the economic downturn. At that time, I was, here's the interesting part about this. I'm reluctant to admit it, but I'm a year older than you, I think. But 12 years ago, in 2008, I was in school. I was at St. Thomas. You were probably in your 8th year as a digital marketer, something like that. So you experienced something like this. Now, I know back in 2008, there was probably, I think, the highest number of unemployments. I heard a number the other day that was like 600,000, right? We're at 6.6 million during this time, just over 2 weeks. So it's not exactly apples to apples. We are in a new time. Digital marketing has changed drastically. The economy has changed drastically. But give us a little bit of insight into what it was like for you, where you were at as a digital marketer in 2008, and kind of what you experienced and how you adapted during those times.
Yeah, so it was interesting because between what that would have been around September 2008 to, let's say, August 2009, that was kind of the roughest time for most businesses. In the later part of 2008, I was working for a consulting company, and doing a lot of web development work at the time. So I was more on the development side. And the consulting company I was working with, obviously saw a little bit of a rough patch of, work coming in and stuff like that. So there was definitely a big push for developing your skills. There was a lot of time that was available. And so, it was kind of like use that time to work on developing your skills. And so I did. I took advantage of that. That's really when I started to get more into the marketing side of digital, and really kind of learned a lot about, advertising. And at that time, Facebook had opened up to businesses and was still kind of the new thing. So really taking the time to learn how that worked. And then what's interesting is I made a job transition during that recession. And I joined Lifetime Fitness as a digital marketer right in the middle of that recession. Now, the reason I bring that up is because at that time, that company had just gone through massive layoffs at the later part of 2008. And the management team realized, okay, this isn't going to last forever. So now's the time to double down on some initiatives that we know are going to be important for the future. And so I was part of this hiring wave that came in the early part of 2009, the very early part of 2009, which was focused on how do we move our experience online? How do we become a digital marketing, because at that time, that company specifically had done a lot of physical marketing, a lot of mailings. I think they even had billboards. It was very much traditional marketing. A lot of mails, a lot of mailers, like a lot of direct mail campaigns. And so this was really an opportunity for that company to say, well, we're going to transition a lot of stuff online. And so I think that that's a perfect parallel to exactly what we can think about today. And that's,
Absolutely.
I talked a little bit about it at Success Camp a few weeks ago. And that was, now's the time to clean up your business. Like, now's the time to do a little bit of spring cleaning. There is a lot of stuff you can do right now. You do not have to sit around and think that because there's not new business coming in that you can't do things from a marketing perspective to move the needle. And I'm a strong believer, because I saw it at that company I went to in 2009. There was a lot of time and investment made on doing things that at the time weren't paying off, right? But boy, did they really set us up for success when things did turn around. So I think that's kind of the key takeaway from 2008, which was do some stuff now, because when things come back around, which in America, they always do, right? The economy is falling and people are losing their jobs. This isn't the first time America's gone through this. Like, there's been numerous points in history. And what happens? Everything bounces back, and it usually bounces back stronger than before. I mean, the stock market before this pandemic hit was at its highest level ever, okay? And back when 2008 hit, right before 2008 hit, the stock market was at its highest level then. So it always, things go down and then they go up higher. They might come down a little bit, then they go up higher. So now's the time to be making these investments in your time, not necessarily your money, but your time in, things with your business that will make a difference.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that it's really difficult when you're used to, a certain amount of income or a certain amount of business or a certain amount of your time is being spent busy serving people, and then everything changes, right? It's jarring, and it can be a little bit unnerving, and it can create anxiety. Mm-hmm. What I think you, in so many words, kind of said is lean into the situation. The situation is what it is, right? There is economic relief that the government put into play to help us make it through these times. Now, it's not the end-all be-all stimulus bill, and it's not going to, get us by forever, but it's there to help us kind of release or subside some of that anxiety, right? Now we can start to focus on what we can do as professionals to kind of lean into this situation and make sure, okay, we're resilient, we're strong, things will come back. What can I do now to make sure that, I'm not only, where I was, pick up where I was when, before this pandemic hit, but how can I pick up and be better and more productive professional than I was before? So I think this is the perfect time, and to your point, it's a perfect time to focus in on building some of those skills. And actually, I'm going to share something, and I picked up these stats, and I wrote down I forgot to write down the marketing consulting agency that I sourced these stats from. So I apologize. I'll put it on the screen in my post-production of this, and I'll put a link in the description to the show. But something that they wanted to, or that they shared, so they did some research about the pandemic when it hit China. And they did research on what people spent their time doing while they were quarantining in China. And 40% of people surveyed said they were spending time on video apps or digital video. 37% were spending time on digital news. 34% were spending time on social media. And 33%, so the lowest of those platforms, is television ads. And then they've done some preliminary studies through, I think this is just through March. So it's only 1 month of data. But in America, the people are spending their time in America. 44% surveyed said they were spending their time at home on movies. 44% going online. 39% were streaming television. 35% were spending time on social media. So that's 1% higher than the people in China. And then 29% on online shopping, and 24% were spending their time reading books. So that's really telling me, hey, digital marketing is important because that's where your audience is right now, right? The majority of the people are spending their time on social media or viewing videos on platforms like social media. So now is a perfect time. If you're not active on social media, if you're not active, recording videos, now is a great time to do some of that stuff. So why don't you say we tackle this kind of channel by channel with how do you feel about taking it like that?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I think the lowest hanging fruit, let's talk about social media. Before we tackle channels, here's what I want to do, because I think this is important and I don't think it gets talked about enough. Before we tackle channel by channel, I want to just bring up this. Adapt your messaging to the times, no matter what channel you're on. If you're sending out emails, if you're creating posts on social media, if you are creating videos, I think it's really important to adjust your messaging to the times. I'll give you an example. I'm not going to throw a brand under the bus, but I did receive an email a few days ago. This is just an example to give you some context into what I'm talking about. I received an email from a bank saying, make sure you file taxes within the next couple weeks. So that was an email that was probably created at the beginning of the year. And it was fine. I received it and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I know that the deadline has been pushed back out, right? It was not a big deal, and it's not a huge deal. But I just received an email yesterday saying, hey, we apologize for the email that you may have received. The deadline has been pushed out, and make sure that you're aware of it. That's just a minor example, right? It's not a big deal. But adapting your messaging to what your customers are experiencing right now. There's people who have a lot of fears about, their house payments, their mortgage payments, or about filing taxes, right? And if you have content that you're pushing out on your digital platforms, you want to make sure that it's taking those concerns and those anxieties into consideration, because it's gonna create a feeling between your customers and your brand.
Yeah, stop all pre-scheduled or automated marketing messaging. Like, put a pause on it and just make sure the messaging is correct. I think most businesses that I got emails from have done a good job of that. They really did alter their messaging to say, well, like, for example, restaurants, right? I've been flooded by all the restaurants I'm on loyalty programs with, who basically said, hey, we're we're still here. And, we have now curbside pickup. We have contactless delivery. Like, they've really changed their messaging. But if you have a lot of that pre-built stuff or email campaigns that might come off not relevant, or maybe even a little tone, like off in tone, now would be the time to just stop those, pause them, and think about how your message changes. So I totally agree with that.
Yeah, and absolutely. And I'm going to actually take another stat that I got from this company. And again, I'll cite it in the description because this is not my own research. But to that point about messaging and what people are experiencing right now and kind of what they're feeling, 30% said that they panic about running out of essentials. 34% believe that this is going to be worse than an economic recession. 45% of consumers expect that their banking products are safe to use. And then here's the one that I really want to focus on, right? Because this is 60% of the population, and this is really relevant to our customers or home buyers or homeowners. 60% feel that the situation demands them to be even more proactive about financial planning and security for the future. And on top of that, the number one concern that they have about financial planning, the number one concern is honoring payments on a mortgage. Now, this doesn't surprise me. It's completely, it's logical. It makes sense. But knowing that, solidifying those assumptions about what our consumers are facing, that's the kind of data or information that you should take into consideration when crafting your message, right? Because you know what your customers are feeling, you know what they're experiencing or thinking through, and knowing that they have those fears. If you send something out in your messaging that is kind of sleight of hand and maybe is joking about some of those fears, it probably isn't going to be well received. And I think it's a way for you also to take that information and kind of lean into it. Like, what kind of content can I put out on social media that is going to help these people through these times, knowing that 60% of my customers are probably worrying about honoring their mortgage payment. So what kind of information can I put out there that's going to help them ease their anxiety or get through these times? I mean, much like we're doing with Real Talk with Homes for Heroes, right? We're trying to provide content that is going to be extremely helpful to our real estate agents and mortgage lenders get through these times. It's the same approach that we're recommending our real estate agents and mortgage lenders take with their customers. What is the information, what is the content that you can put out there that is going to get through these times? And craft your messaging to that pain point, right?
Yeah, and the best, well, I feel the best real estate agents and mortgage lenders out there are the ones that are experts in their community. And so now's the time you can really shine in that area, because there's probably resources in your community that you can be sharing about on social media. So let's just take, for example, there's a lot of families that are struggling financially that need assistance with food. Okay.
Yep.
If you know of an organization or something down at the community center or something going on where they're providing meals for families, get that message out on social. Because as a real estate agent, you're viewed as someone who's an expert in your community. Or at least that's what you should be striving to be, because that's your point of differentiation. There's a million, there's over a million real estate agents out there. But the ones who stand out are the ones who know their communities the best. So now's the time to, instead of trying to sell homes, because we know that's hard right now, and in some states you can't even do it. You can't have open houses right now. So what are other ways you can build your brand, build your authority in the community by maybe you have dedicated posts on community resources to help families or individuals out during this tough time. So I'd say there's an opportunity to focus on during, this time that we're going through.
Absolutely. So I would say right there, So if we're going to start with channels, I mean, let's start with breaking down some channels. So with social media right there, 2 ideas for your content, right? You might not be, I mean, you can always put out your, the houses that are on the market on your social media. There's no reason why you have to stop that, right? But what content can you insert into your Facebook or Instagram posts or into your YouTube videos, whatever it is that you're doing on social media? I mean, Twitter. I mean, pick the platform.
Yep.
Community resources. Being the expert in sourcing those resources for your community that they need help with.
Promote small businesses.
Absolutely.
That's another one.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's a lot of restaurants out there who are, for lack of a better term, mom and pop shop type restaurants that don't have a lot of financial backing and are struggling right now, but are still trying to provide the service of making food for people. And they're just changing the way they deliver it or give it to you for takeout. Those small businesses need assistance. Promote them. Promote, Joe's Sandwich Shop that's down the street, and give him a little bit of love, and tell your community, because chances are you have a fairly sizable audience. If you've been doing real estate for some time, you've built this sphere of influence. Use that to promote small businesses.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you remember, a lot of those restaurants and businesses were supporting first responders or supporting our communities during 9/11.
Yep.
They came in and they filled a gap or a pain point during that time. And I will always lead to the fact that it's, out of the, genuine kindness of their heart that they did that, but their brand did benefit from it, right? Because people don't forget those acts of kindness. And now it's the same thing. The restaurants are needing our help. They're the ones that are really hurting through this time. And, using that idle time in whatever you can, and it's not necessarily spending money. I mean, if you do have the opportunity to spend money at local restaurants, that's great. But we know that everybody's trying to be more financially responsible and being a little bit more conservative with their money. So some of that can be just through promoting restaurants and letting people know, letting your community know that they're open and that they're serving people. And, when we do rebound from this, because we will rebound from it, there will be people that will never forget those acts of kindness that you did.
I mean, building up these relationships now with some of the small businesses in your community could reap huge benefits later, right? So you're going to help them now because times are tough. But when things turn around, Joe's Sandwich Shop, owner Joe's probably going to remember you and remember that you promoted his business. So when things turn around, maybe Joe's going to let you do something inside of his shop. Maybe he's going to let you hold a town hall Q&A for potential home buyers or something, and he's going to provide, sandwiches and drinks for this event you might have or something. I mean, that's where culling these relationships now. When things turn around, you've got opportunities now because you've got those relationships built. So it could open up doors you haven't even thought about up to this point.
People will always remember who was with them, who stood by them through the hard times. It's easy to forget people who are standing next to you through the good times, but the people that are standing next to you during the hard times people will remember you for that.
That's right.
So that's a great form of content that you can use for your social media posts. And then the helpful content, informational content. I mean, if you're not active with video, now is a perfect time to do it. You have a smartphone. I mean, the majority, I would say, 99% of the population has a smartphone, and they have the ability to record a video. Does not need to be high production. I mean, if you see the news anchors on NBC, ABC, CBS, they're all recording from home, and a lot of them are recording from their smartphone. This is a time where people are just being resourceful. They're recording from this. Yep. And you can sit down, block out a half an hour of your day, recording informational content for Facebook, for Instagram, for YouTube, and you can be the go-to resource for how people can manage their mortgage payments or resources to
budgeting.
Yes,
Personal
to get
finance.
them through this time.
Yep. I actually have a couple of creative ideas I was thinking about. Parents, every community has parents and families. And parents right now they're feeling it. It's like they're being squeezed. So what are some things you can do online to just help parents out? What if once a week you record a video of you telling a story that they can play for their kids? Maybe even dress up in a costume. Maybe you dress up as a farmer, and you read a story about a farmer, and or the story about the country mouse and the city mouse or something like that. Like, there's things you can do that are outside of your normal course of business, but you're providing a service. You're providing something that's out of the ordinary, and it's memorable. People will remember that. It's like, so even think outside of just the stuff you would do normally. How can you just be helpful? How can you be helpful? There are parents right now that are just like, oh my God, I gotta, like, my kids are driving me crazy. So maybe you read a book, you record yourself reading a book, and parents can then play that for their kids on their tablets and things like that. I mean, there's a lot of ways to be creative. That's just one small example, but there's a ton of resources you can provide.
Can I want to let you get on to that other point, but I want to throw on to that one that you just talked about, reading stories. And to your point, probably about 15 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago, about developing your professional skills. Now is a great time to develop your professional skills and lean into that storytelling option and create an Alexa update where you telling stories. Now, if you don't know how to create an Alexa flash briefing or an Alexa storytelling, I'm actually going to do a shameless plug, but I created an episode on Digital Dive with Homes for Heroes. You can check it out on the Homes for Heroes YouTube channel. And it shows you how you can create Alexa flash briefings. And part of that could be you telling a story. And
absolutely,
people are at home interacting with their Alexa devices. My Alexa device is probably going to talk to me now, but they're interacting with their devices all day, every day. So this is a perfect opportunity to, maybe put yourself in their home in a totally different way. So I just wanted to throw that plug in there. But then
totally. And marketing is all about becoming memorable. Okay. What is it? 2,000, 3,000, 9,000. I can't remember how many brands we come in contact with every single day as an individual through ads and logos and everything else. The way you stand out is to become memorable. So in a time like this, you can do things that are out of the ordinary because that makes you memorable. That helps your marketing effort. It helps grow your business, because when this is all said and done and we pass through this, people won't just look at you as a real estate agent. They're going to look at you and say, oh my goodness, I remember when I saw that individual's post on Facebook and they were reading a children's story for 20 minutes and it entertained my kids. Like, do you know what I mean? That's a really simplistic example, but it's how do you become memorable? And to the point you just made about professional development and taking time to develop new skills, now is an excellent time to practice like public speaking. Because you can do a live webinar. You can live stream a webinar. Maybe you want to talk about home buying in 2020. And at the beginning of it, you say, look, now's a tough time, but we're going to come out of this. And I want to best prepare you for buying that home, down the road. Maybe it's 2-3 years from now. And you have a public webinar and you live stream it and you're practicing those skills. So there's so much you can do to become memorable and develop your professional skills during this time.
Absolutely. 100% agree with you. And I would say anybody, I think that a lot of people will be hesitant to do it and say, I just don't know how to do it and I need to learn how to do it. I mean, honestly, Bob, I'm not an expert podcaster. I'm not an expert videographer. I had to jump in and I had to learn this on the go, right? We couldn't spend 2 years figuring out how Seth was going to become a professional podcaster or a professional presenter or a professional video producer. We had to just put things in play and let Seth grow along the way. So you guys are literally experiencing my growth as I go through this opportunity, and it should be the same for you. And now is the perfect time to do it because nobody's expecting the polished version of yourself. They're expecting the authentic you. And if you're not comfortable with presenting, that's okay. The only way that you're going to get comfortable with presenting or comfortable with doing webinars or comfortable with recording video is just doing it. And if you wait for yourself to become a professional, the opportunity is probably going to have long passed you by. So now is that perfect time to lean into that professional development and lean into the opportunities that digital marketing are presenting to you to stay connected and build those relationships with your customer through that relevant content. So
I'm not sure when you want to put a bow on this channel, social media, but I will just say this. Social is the perfect channel to think outside the box, be creative, be human, and form connection points with your audience. And all the things we just talked about, that is the channel they're best suited for. And you can do that on Facebook, and you can do that on Instagram, and you can do that on TikTok, and you can do that on Snapchat. You can do it on all those, because people let their guard down a little bit in social. If they want to consume information that's more about connections and about something that's maybe funny or entertaining or helpful. So that's where I think that channel, everything we talked about was a little bit outside the box, and that's okay for that channel.
I wholeheartedly agree with you. I would say Instagram is probably the only channel where it's like the audience maybe expects like everything to be polished and pretty. And, I have my thoughts about that, whatever, and I'm just going to say this. I think that we're seeing more that social is moving past that, perfect polished lifestyle look like Instagram. I know that TikTok, that's really not embraced. Like TikTok is really like, we want to see your most authentic self. Like all the mistakes, all the imperfections with it. And I think that's really influencing the channel. So I wholeheartedly agree that that's the way that our social, especially during these times. I mean, we're going through a pandemic. We're locked. I mean, you're running a small school in a digital marketing department from your bedroom. I mean, how can you polish that up? I mean,
Scary.
You can put lipstick on it all you want, but it still is what it is. And the reason why people don't want you to polish that up is because they're going through the same exact experience as you are right now.
Quality is out the window right now. Have you seen Jimmy Fallon? I don't watch his show all the time, but like him and a lot of people now, obviously, like you mentioned before, newscasters are broadcasting from their basement, right? And I think it's teaching us something, because we're so used to seeing people like that in an environment that looks so staged and so professional. And we're not even thinking twice about Jimmy Fallon broadcasting from his living room. Like, we're not even thinking about that right now. We're just seeing him as an entertainer providing entertainment, and he's doing it from his home, just like all of us are. Like, we're working from home. And so quality now shouldn't be your concern. Your concern should be being yourself, because that's what people are going to relate to best.
And I'm really glad you brought up that example, because when I watch Jimmy Fallon, I've watched him a couple times over the past week, and what I notice about him is that he's very, God bless Jimmy Fallon. I'm a big fan of Jimmy Fallon. He seems uncomfortable. He doesn't have a crowd responding to his jokes.
They feed off of that. They feed off comedians.
For a comedian, it's got to be very unnerving, right? But he seems a little bit uncomfortable. But you know what? I absolutely love that he is comfortable, or he's showing his uncomfortableness with it, because he's doing something that our country and our communities really need right now. They need something to get their mind off of the reality for even an hour, right? And he's persevering through that, even though he's going out of his comfort zone and he's, bringing his kids into it and kind of trying to get more involved with that. He's uncomfortable with it. He's leaning into it, and he's doing something that people really need. And that is no different from us as marketers, right? I mean, we can choose this opportunity and continue to do what we do and say, hey, you need to buy the latest, widget because it's going to make the biggest impact on your life. We can do that, but that's not where our customers are thinking, right? And we can kind of lean into that and say, you know what? I'm not extremely comfortable with doing this type of content, but it's something that you need and it's something that I can provide. And people are not going to care about how polished or how perfect or how perfectly it's presented. They just need something from you that you can provide. And
now is the
information
perfect time. Now is the perfect time to not worry about the quality of something, right? I was watching the morning news this morning, and Al Roker, NBC Today show, he's been broadcasting from his kitchen and his backyard. And today his picture was a little pixelated, but nobody cares. Nobody cares. And so you don't need to worry so much about, I got to record on my phone, and go for it. Because to the point you made earlier, there are like national correspondents, news correspondents who are broadcasting from their phones right now. So now's the time to let that go and just get out there and do it and experiment with it, because people are more. We never ever thought we would see Jimmy Fallon doing his show from his living room. We never in a million years would have thought that we would be watching news anchors broadcasting from their homes, or radio personalities broadcasting from their living rooms. So now's the time when you don't need to worry about that, because everybody is becoming accepting to the fact that that's where we're at right now.
Absolutely. So get out there, produce that content. It can be focused on serving your community. It can be focused on providing information. And I would actually say providing information about how you can help people through these challenging times is going to be a big winner. And put that on social. And then the other thing that I'm going to put out there, and I'm going to say that this is relevant for social, and then it's also relevant for email. We know that in many parts of the country, real estate has come to a halt. But in many parts of the country, it's still going. Now, people, consumer confidence is pretty low right now, and people are pretty concerned about their finances. But there are people that are still buying a home, right? There are people. I mean, just to say that there's nobody out there. I mean, there's probably people who are tuning into this episode that say, I have customers in my pipeline that are still looking for homes. So I think another source of information that could be extremely relevant for social media, and I think it has to be crafted carefully as we get back to our messaging point from a little bit ago, but educating people how you are helping them go through the home buying process during these challenging times, right? So I know that not everything can be done virtually, right? You can do virtual home tours now, right? I think the only thing that really requires a physical presence is the actual execution of the contract. And I know that a lot of title companies are meeting in parking lots. And
they're doing their cars.
Yeah, exactly.
Drive-through closings.
Right.
It's happening.
But I think that's... I don't think that this is going to be isolated to the next month or two, right? We're going to start seeing more of the real estate transaction digitized, and I think it's going to become more virtual. Now, there's still plenty of legal restrictions within the real estate industry that won't allow us to do that 100% right now, but now is a perfect time to say, okay, how can I make as much of the real estate transaction virtual and digitized as I can within my own constraints? You can do DocuSign now. There's plenty of things that you can do, but educating people that on that through social media, through email. How are you putting out that information on how you're continuing to serve them through these challenging times while putting their concerns at ease. So there's going to be sellers who have their house on the market that aren't going to be comfortable with people walking through their home. They're not going to want to have open houses, right? Because that opens up the opportunity for people to bring potential viruses into the home. There's going to be home buyers who are not comfortable with going on open houses because they don't want to walk into an environment. So putting that information out there saying, hey, we're easing your concerns. We're making sure that you can still achieve the American dream of owning a home while making sure that you're safe. And I've seen a lot of real estate agents putting that content out there. And I think if it's crafted carefully and executed really well, that's very great information to make sure that you're still showing people that you're open and you're still doing business. I know, back to your earlier point, Bob, restaurants. We've been getting a lot of emails from restaurants. They're letting you know, hey, we're open, but we know that you're concerned about eating out. So we've taken these steps to make sure that you're safe and you're protected and that you're not putting your health on the line just to support us as a local restaurant. So I think it's important information to put out there as well. And that's perfect content for social. It's perfect content for email. And emailing your sphere of influence, or your sphere of influence, but also people who are in your pipeline. So, what other channels we got out there, Bob? Oh, I got one. And then I'm going to touch on this real quick. And then I'm going to ask you again. Paid. So advertising. I'm going to give you one tip on this. And again, if you're investing money into paid media like advertising on Facebook, advertising on Google, step number one, make sure that you're crafting your message carefully to the customer mindset right now. But one tip that I'm going to give you guys is that the approval process for social media ads is taking so much longer. So companies like Facebook, Google, yes, they have very advanced machine learning tools, and they do a lot of that evaluation of ads to make sure that they're appropriate for their platforms. They automate a lot of that approval process, but so much of that is done by their employees as well. And Facebook and Google has taken the same precautions that many other industries have done by making sure that there are no employees coming into their offices to work, right? So everybody within these companies are working from home. Now, because of legal restrictions, these people cannot review ads at their house. So that's why there's a bottleneck in terms of the approval process. My hat's off to Facebook and Google for not circumventing that process and putting their platforms or their employees in not compromising them or their safety. So I totally respect it, and I'm completely okay with the fact that ads are going to take a longer time to be approved. But if you are running ads on Facebook or Google, take that into consideration. Start planning your ads out a month in advance and start putting them out there and getting them approved. That way you don't have to worry about, am I up against the wall and making sure that my ads are running when I need them to be running. So just wanted to throw that one out there. What other properties are we needing to consider?
Well,
Bob?
social was the big one, and you've touched on email a little bit. I think there's some back office stuff that's important to think about and remember during this time, because I think when we're all busy and running around like crazy and you're doing a ton of showings and you've got closings and you got all this stuff, and we sometimes forget about a lot of the CRM stuff or the mailing list stuff because it becomes busy work. Now's a good time to clean up those areas. I think now's a good time to make sure that you've entered all your leads into your CRM. Maybe go in and clean up some records. Now's a good time to clean out your email list. I would say if you go into your email tool and you see that there's people who haven't opened up your emails the last 5 or 6 ones you've sent out, right? A lot of those tools give you the data. You can get rid of those people because they're not opening your emails anyways. So there's a lot of things like that. Cleaning up your data, reaching out to, if you have a good CRM where you manage your contacts and maybe you know what type of job they're in or occupation, now's a good time to reach out to them. Maybe thank them for what they're doing. Maybe to the rest of your list, it's just is there anything I can help you with? Or is there anything, is there any resources you need that I can, provide you? Now's a good time to do those reach outs to your network.
Absolutely.
I would say it's also a great time to work on some automation. I'm a big proponent of automation. So is there things you can do with your CRM tool and other free tools out there where maybe you can automate some things in your business? If you're saying that your work is slow right now, which it is for a lot of real estate agents, great. Now's the time to build those things so that when you start getting busy again, now you've freed up even more time to, go after building your business. So maybe do some automation stuff. I would say, once a week, maybe just devote a couple hours to find a way to move data from one system to another so that it does X, Y, Z or whatever. So I would say those are some important things to think about during this time, which would be, what can you do inside your business to make it more efficient and clean things out that maybe have gotten a little dusty or cobwebby, if that's a word. So I think those are really important. Those are things to do right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Another to that automation point, chatbots.
Yeah,
chatbots are extremely important, and they're a great tool right now, which can, when the market picks back up, when you do have a chatbot in place, on your Facebook page, on your website, kind of automating some of those frequently asked questions by your customers who are coming onto your website and just need quick answers, or if they see a post on Facebook and you can create a chatbot to provide them some information or answer those questions. It's while you have the time now, it's a great time to learn how to do them, put them in place, and that way it's freeing time back up on your plate to be able to actually spend time with your customers.
We should do an episode just on marketing automation. I think
absolutely.
I think that would be a great topic to really dig into, because there's so many different services out there, a lot of them that are free. Yeah. There's a lot of different tools you can use, but not only that, it's just the idea of making yourself more efficient and effective.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to do an episode on that. I'm a big fan of automation, and I did an episode on Zapier, which we did an episode on Trello, which are two great tools. And if you're looking to use some tools for automation, go reference our Real Talk with Homes for Heroes episodes on Trello and Zapier. Those are some great tools. But I think that we could definitely dive deeper into that and do an episode on like some of the tools, but then also some of the tools that you can use to streamline data integration between, whether it is your Facebook lead forms to your CRM or, email or, there's so many different sources. So I would agree with you. I don't know. What do you think, Bob? Do we have anything else? Are we missing anything?
No, I don't think so. Covered off on the ones I wanted to talk about, for sure.
Yeah.
So
I think that we're all facing challenging times, and we all struggle with the anxiety and we all struggle with, what do we do next? But I think what's important right now, and what I'm hoping that our audience takes away from this, is that, digital marketing is such a powerful tool right now, and it really is something that you need to lean into and take advantage of. And even though you might be struggling or you might be feeling a little bit challenged, just take the next step forward. Have faith that you'll become better, or you'll become more of an expert at recording video, or you're going to become more of an expert at marketing automation. We all have to start somewhere. Now is the time, and now is the time that you really need to lean into it as a novice, as a beginner, and start building that. So as we talked about before, when the market does pick back up, you're not only picking back up from where you left off, but you are picking back up light ages ahead of where you were. So now is the time. And
can I make one more point about that real quick? The reason why this situation we're in is different than 2008 is 2008 was a true financial crisis, right? It was there was a lot of things that went wrong with our financial system.
yes.
This is different because this was an event that we couldn't control. It's really truly the invisible enemy, right? Now it's crippled our financial system because we've had a lot of businesses that have had to close. But for the most part, those are temporary. In 2008, we lost a lot of businesses because the funding ran dry because the money wasn't there. This is different. This is it's causing a lot of strain on business owners and families. The difference is that when we get past this, those businesses can pick back up and they can grow, and we can rehire the 6.6 million people that filed unemployment, right? We can rehire them. So we gotta be in this together. We gotta do what it's going to take to get out of as a country. And to the point you just made, we're going to come out of this even better than we were before, because we're going to learn a lot of things. Businesses are going to change fundamentally. Even our business, Homes for Heroes, we've learned a very valuable lesson. And that is we can operate, we can do everything in our business remotely. So if anything ever happens again in the future, we know how to do this. And, it took a week. It took a week for us to figure out how to print hero checks and, where the mail was going to go and all this kind of stuff. But we figured it out and we did it. And that's like every other business out there. So we're going to recover even stronger from this one. So I feel good about it.
I just to touch on that point real quick. I heard they were interviewing a couple of guys from the Shark Tank, and I'm not going to remember the one guy's name. I'm such a horrible person at sourcing or citing my sources. But the one shark, Roberts.
Yeah, I forget his last. I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
I can't pronounce it either. Yeah. But Roberts.
Yes.
He had made a point about how the majority of businesses, the majority, not all of them, are moving to e-commerce.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And then one of the sharks, who I'm not going to remember his name, he came on and he's like, I'm going to adamantly disagree with Robert on this because not the majority of businesses are moving to e-commerce. He said all businesses are moving to e-commerce. So I don't know. Whichever point you want to agree with, I mean, the point is there, right? Is that digitizing, automating, and bringing our business into the virtual world, into the digital world is, and it's been shifting that way for years, but right now is even more
it's very interesting,
relevant. But I'm gonna just throw this out there, and Bob, I didn't ask your permission, but I'm just gonna do it out there anyways because this is kind of part of being a Real Talk with Homes for Heroes host. So I said this on my last episode, and I'm gonna say it again. My life is a better. I live a better life by helping and serving others. So if you have questions, if you need help, I'm more than happy to do that. Please feel free to reach out to me on any of your social media channels. My handle is at the bottom of the screen. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's at Seth Jeska. And you can also leave a comment in the description of this show. And Bob,
well, I tried. Whoa, hold on. I got to slow you down here. I tried to ask for your help the other day, and you didn't seem very excited about it. Do you remember what I asked you? I asked if my 4 kids could stay at your apartment for a weekend. You didn't seem too excited about babysitting my kids.
Hey, I told you. I said you supply the chicken nuggets and the tater tots, and we'll make it happen. All right.
Oh, okay. All right. Hey, be careful. Careful what you wish for.
Hey. Well, just for the sake of the show, we can talk about that offline. But for the sake of the show, hey, if you need that help, I'm more than willing to help you, Bob. But I would say that, Bob, you're more than happy to help and answer questions.
Yes.
And we're going to put your handle at the bottom of the screen too. But Bob, you just want to do it for the people who are tuning into our podcast through audio format?
Yeah, I am everywhere you can imagine. You can find me on LinkedIn. Just search my name, Twitter, Instagram. Those are great places to reach out to me. Twitter is quick and easy for me to answer questions and provide any help. So certainly, reach out. I thrive off of connecting with people. I'm an extrovert, so I like to talk to people and connect with people. So I am more than happy to help in any way I can. If you have any questions about growing your business, or if there's a tool you're looking at, chances are I probably have played around with it because I'm a techie at heart. And so please toss me any questions. Happy to help. I'm at Bob Stanke on most channels. So.
Okay. Yeah, so please, if you have questions, if you need help, reach out to us. If we don't have the resources to help you, or if we don't have the answers to your questions, we will definitely find the answers to your questions, because we all need each other to get through this, because we're all in this together. And Bob, I'm going to let you do this the next episode, because I know that you love this part of the show, but I'll do it this time. All right. So you can kind of
I gotta get reacquainted with how to do it.
So make sure that you guys tune in to future episodes of Real Talk with Homes for Heroes. Through the month of April, we're going to be focusing on bringing you content that is not only going to help you survive through this challenging time, but help your business thrive through this challenging time. So make sure that you keep tuning into Real Talk with Homes for Heroes. And if you're tuning in on your favorite podcast directory, thank you so much for tuning in, because you guys are the original gangsters of Real Talk with Homes for Heroes. And make sure that you subscribe to Real Talk with Homes for Heroes on your favorite podcast directory and provide us a rating or review. And if you're tuning in on YouTube, thank you so much. Make sure that you give this video a like, and make sure that you subscribe to the Homes for Heroes YouTube channel and hit the notification bell. That way you'll get notified every time we produce a new episode of Real Talk with Homes for Heroes. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Make sure that you stay safe, you stay positive, you stay healthy, and we'll see you guys again real soon. Thanks.
Thank you.